Hi, welcome back to part 3, and in this part we get introduced to the criminal team of this generation, Team Plasma. Although I'm not sure what that name means, like what Plasma alludes to. Now, like previous criminal teams like Magma, Aqua, Galactic, this guy claims to have a positive reason for doing what he's doing. In this case, it's for the welfare of Pokemon. He wants to separate Pokemon and people to help Pokemon. Which does ask a good question about the Pokemon franchise. It's that essentially we capture animals and we get them to battle. Now in the Pokemon universe, it's sort of like the relationship between a boxer and a trainer, really. So, yep, because obviously getting animals to fight in real life is cruel, but in the Pokemon universe, Pokemon like fighting. It sort of creates a bond between them and their trainers. But nevertheless, I do like this villain's motivations, because that does ask the question, are Pokemon really happy with this sort of relationship they have? Hang on, who's this guy? I do like your sort of creepy little theme here. And were they seriously trying to keep this guy sort of a mystery? Because I guess he is, but the fact that he and Getsis have a very similar shade of green hair kind of ruins the mystery. Like, I know who he's connected to, at least. Anyway, the thing is with N, he sends out the Purloin, which I think is a really cool looking Pokemon. I like dark types. And he's sort of like a sinister looking cat. Now, if you're wondering about N, N has Pokemon, and we just heard that Team Plasma don't like humans keeping Pokemon. So you might think, are they being hypocritical? But from what I'm told, N actually captures Pokemon for these battles and then releases them straight afterwards. So again, then that's okay. Then, although I don't know what the other Team Plasma reasons are, because there are other team members which use Pokemon, and I do wonder, do they do the same? Now at this point, Cumberbatch knows Vine Whip, which is a grass type move. And of course he is a grass type. And an aspect of Pokemon gameplay I've only recently discovered is the stab bonus. The STAB, same type attack bonus. Whereas if a grass Pokemon uses a grass move, the power of that move is increased by 1.5 times. So, which I didn't really realise before, funnily enough. So essentially, if you don't have a move that's super effective, then you probably are better off using your grass move, if you're grass type, and so on. Greater conference call. Oh, bloody hell, mother. The call! It's coming from inside the house! Here we go, the running shoes, which is one of my favourite items. You just hold B and you run faster. Simple as. Introduced in Gen 3, was it? I believe so. I know Gen 2 had a scooter. But anyway, this route, pretty much the same as the previous one. You can get a Patrat or a Lillipup. But in this route you can also get a Purloin, which is what I'm really after. Something I do with the random encounters in this video is that I edit them out. Unless it's a Pokemon you haven't seen before. But we had seen a Patrat before, anyway. Anyway, you know what I mean. Like, if it's the first time we encounter certain Pokemon on a route, either in a battle or an encounter, I'll probably show it off, but then the future instances I'll edit them out. Not much to see here. In this generation, I said before, I learnt the use of status lowering moves. So I start off with Leah at the beginning of the battle, and he returns the favour. But then I use Vine Whip, and you can see the attacks do more damage that way. And you see, his mistake is that he uses Leah again. Again, you don't want to be too hung up on these like stat changing moves. You just want to do it once and then attack regularly for the rest of the battle. Granted, I'm not a huge expert on Pokemon. Although I found in this generation I had to think more tactically than I did before. I mean, I'm not an expert per se, but I do come up with a strategy which seems to work in this game. And here we have Purloin, a sort of dark type. I guess sort of, I would say a physical attacker, and honestly he does have average stats. So, but I like the design, so essentially I still want to capture one. And the thing is with Pokemon is that in all gens they do throw a psychic user at you near the end, whether it's like an Elite Four, or a champion, or a legendary. They throw a powerful psychic type at you no matter what. So in later gens I've always had a policy of making sure I get at least one dark type on my team. It acts cute as a ruse. Of course you do, Purloin. Now this Pokemon, I saw its sort of feminine smirk and its charm and its cuteness, and those sort of like sneaky looking eyes. And anyway, what I'm trying to say is that Purloin's personality, to me, seems very similar to the actor Tim Curry, or at least similar to the roles he's played. So, yep, Tim Curry, a wonderful actor, charming guy, and also a really good voice actor. Like, you hear Tim Curry's voice, and you can recognise it instantly. So, yeah, it just, calling my cool cat Tim Curry just seemed to work. And just in general, when you're making a Pokemon team, it is obviously best to get all different types. But honestly, an 8-year-old who plays a Pokemon game for the first time could probably tell you that. That goes without saying. Although something I am aware of is that Pokemon can learn moves, obviously, and I'm always trying to make sure my Pokemon learns a variety of moves. For obvious reasons, but what I'm trying to tell you now is that, for example, that one of the Elite Four uses a Psychic type Pokemon that knows Focus Blast, which is a fighting move. Now, when you fight that Pokemon, you might send out a Dark type, but they'll hit you with a fighting type move, which will really pwn you. I guess competitive trainers call it coverage. You make sure your Pokemon has a move which covers its weakness. But anyway, like I was saying, I think it might be better if I have a grass Pokemon that can learn a Dark type attack. Then I'll send that out against the Psychic types. Then all the coverage moves they've learned won't do them any good. And here we actually get to fight a Lillipup, sent out by an actual trainer this time. Now the thing is with Lillipup, it's a normal type, and I tend to avoid normal types, just because I find that in later parts of the game you need to use elemental advantages to beat enemies. And unfortunately normal attacks they are not effective against any type. They either do normal damage or half damage, or not at all. Now granted, normal types do have good move pools, but again, I like to take advantage of the same type attack bonus. Which, again, to give normal types credit, it means they get the same type attack bonus on all their normal moves. They do a lot more damage. So that is a plus. When it comes to normal types, I guess I have used normal flying types, but even then I use them as flying types really. Speaking of which, I do have a flying type in mind for this game, but you'll see it as we get there. Now, Lillipup isn't really that much of a threat, but its evolved forms can actually hit quite hard. Especially, there's a gym leader that uses like an evolved form of Lillipup that uses Takedown, a very powerful move. And honestly, I find the normal gym in this game the hardest one. Well, I suppose if I chose Tepic at the beginning and had a good fighting type, that wouldn't be an issue. But no, I like Snivvy's design the best, and I'm going to stick with Snivy. Now here comes something which you could argue is an issue with the game, and that's the fact that they surprise you with boss fights by the main characters. You know, Bianca, Sharon, N. You'll just be walking along, and they'll suddenly surprise you. So, yeah, whenever you enter or exit an area, just expect a battle. Just make sure you're always healed. Now here's sort of a stat tactic I use here. And first off, I send out Tim Curry, and I get him to use Growl to lower Lillipup's attack. But then I switch out to Cumberbatch. And the idea is that Tim Curry won't beat Lillipup. He'll just stay a few turns at the beginning, lower the Pokemon's defences, and then Cumberbatch will come in and finish it off with the advantage. And again, something I didn't do in previous generations was think as my team as a whole team. I usually took them on individually. Like, I look at this fire type and I go, oh, that's got a fire move, that's good. This water type, it's got a water move and a ground move, that's good. But I didn't really think about how one Pokemon interacts with another. Well, that's something I've started doing this gen, and you'll see an example later on, where I send out a Pokemon to encounter, an opponent's first Pokemon. I'll get a little twisted, but what I mean is I send out a Pokemon, it does some like stat moves, and then I switch out. Then hopefully the Pokemon I switch out to will benefit from those stat moves. There we go, that wasn't too hard to say. Here we have Oshawott. And Bianca, you should have called him Revolver. That would have been hilarious, apparently. I like Oshawott, he's kinda cute. But unfortunately, grass beats water. Oh, potions. That's something I'm not too keen on, using potions during battle. I mean, just for my sake, because I'd rather win with my Pokemon as they are. I think I used a potion like once, and that's just because I got in trouble. And even then, I regret using that potion, that one time. To my shame. But anyway, with that done, I'm finishing this part. Please join me again.